And next we have Respawn 18 and Up. Respawn LitRPG series book number 3, written by Arthur Stone. And don't judge that by the title too much. It doesn't mean that there's sex or anything in here. It's just that's the life that he's on. Okay. This is 270 pages. It is $5.99. It is not available on Kindle Unlimited. This is a Russian translation. So there's always that time period where it's just not available on KU, and we hope eventually it will be. Here's the author's description. Targets come in all kinds. Some fall prey to those holding a gun for the first time. Others cannot be defeated even by the most experienced shooters in the world, unless their luck comes to save the day. Cheater's accuracy is unparalleled, and Lady Luck is on his side. He has all the marks of a champion, and champions never miss. The true aim of his heart, though, is not one that can be hit with a single fortunate shot. No, she is far to the west beyond the several of the continent's most dangerous locations, the bleak boundaries dividing regions from one another. Solo veteran immunes are little more than clumsy chunks of meat in such places. Never mind brash newcomers like Cheater. But Cheater's not going solo. He's an experienced friend, but loyalty is very hard to verify. And you never know when a friend might disown you simply for failing to complete his task by its deadline. Okay, so that's really super vague, and it doesn't describe the series as a whole at all. However, I like this series, and I think sometimes I feel like I'm in the minority here, because there's not a lot of reviews for this series, and that part of that is the fact that it's an Kindle Unlimited, that you have to purchase them, and the purchase price is a little bit, it's about twice, 2 cents per page, which is a little higher than I personally like to pay, but I never regret paying it for the series, just because it's an entertaining series. It's a slice of life RPG apocalypse story with the twist of adding a temporal reset upon death to the beginning of the apocalypse. So essentially, there are a bunch of players in this world, and it's kind of inferred that it might be this artificial system or an MMO system, but it's essentially an RPG apocalypse. And whenever a player dies, no matter where they are in the apocalypse, whether it's been a day or a month or a year from the start of it, they always get reset to the very beginning of the apocalypse. But they keep the knowledge that they've accrued of how to survive, what these different monsters are, where potential weapon caches are, how to defeat and survive. But because they get to restart, they get to make different choices. They can go off in different directions, interact with new people, and all the players have these particular options. There are a limited number of resets or respawns that they get, but everyone kind of has the same powers. And mixed in with the players, of course, like regular NPCs and monsters and people that change into creatures. And as the apocalypse continues on, things get worse and worse. Like the monsters start to evolve into worse monsters. So, and it's a whole system of thing. And I really genuinely enjoy the fact that they do get to reset and learn from their mistakes. It's a very interesting opportunity of some very potentially interesting storytelling, because every time they read a player dies and resets to begin apocalypse, that's a different opportunity for the author to tell a different story. And so I've always enjoyed that particular aspect, because essentially every single book in the series can kind of be an independent story. Like you can jump into book 3 here and still have a pretty decent time. You may be a little confused about specific people's names, but everything's pretty well spelled out in each particular, and that's a consequence of that particular premise setup, which I always thought was really kind of a nice way to tell a story. This the series is entertaining. There again is a kind of a series goal, which the novel description kind of touched upon, but it's really just kind of a thing for the main character to have a far off goal to. Each novel has lots of action, and it ramps up as the story goes on, always culminating in like this big, exciting ending. And book 3 is really no different. There's a bit more solo survival stuff in book number 3, but you're still going to get good fights with zombies, worse monsters, other players. The RPG stuff is it's in the medium. It's not super light, but it's not super heavy either. The RPG mechanics are essentially like, the characters each have powers. They get rewarded with stats and abilities and levels as they beat monsters, and also like a minor morality system with humanity points. There's still RPG mechanic theorizing and planning as like the characters try to like get weapons that are going to enhance their particular build that they're going for, or get abilities and weapons that do particular damage sets and stuff. But that's kind of where the RPG mechanics are. Overall, I like this third book a little bit more than book 2 for me personally, just because it's a faster paced opening. Like in book 2, it was a very slow beginning. And that kind of, I think, turned off some readers. Book 3, bam, right into the action. And it's a really good, opening scene for the book 3. Overall, though, the book still has good action adventure, decent RPG stuff, but always an entertaining story. Be aware, though, that the story has more than a few typos and errors, and that's mostly, I think, just because it's a translation from Russian, and so you're going to get a little bit more than other novels potentially. But for me, I still had a good time with it. Get the score 7.4 out of 10. That's Respawn 18 and up, Respawn LitRPG series book number 3, with a score of a 7.4 out of 10. So I had a good time with it.